It was good. That is the part no one warns you about. You did not fight every day. There was no cheating, no screaming, no dramatic disaster you could point to and say, that is where it broke. You were happy, they seemed happy, things felt normal, maybe even beautiful. And then one ordinary day they said the sentence that makes no sense at all: I do not have feelings anymore. And you stood there trying to solve an equation with no numbers in it. Because nothing happened, nothing obvious changed. But somehow the person who was close yesterday is suddenly explaining why they cannot stay today. Maybe they say they lost feelings. Maybe they say they are not ready. Maybe they say they cannot see a future. Maybe first they say, it is not you, it is me. Then later, after the breakup, a new story appears. Suddenly there are reasons, old incidents, small mistakes, things they never brought up when they happened. Now those things become evidence. And you are left wondering, was that always the truth? Or did the truth change after they left? Or maybe you're on the other side of it. Maybe you were the one who felt the urge to run. You liked them. You wanted the relationship. You enjoyed being loved. But the moment it started becoming serious, something inside you tightened. Suddenly their care felt like pressure. Their closeness felt like a demand. Their future with you felt less like a dream and more like a wall closing in. This is not just one breakup story. This is everywhere now. People want love but not pressure. They want romance but not responsibility. They want someone to care, but panic when that care becomes real. They want the feeling of a relationship, but not the weight of commitment. So why do people leave good relationships? Why do feelings disappear right when things finally start to matter? And why does the real reason always seem to arrive too late? The easy answer is the comfortable one. Feelings fade, they were not the one. You fell out of love, simple as that. But that explanation falls apart when you look closely, because often this does not happen when things are terrible. It happens when things are getting real, when the next step appears, when the relationship starts asking for honesty, vulnerability, consistency, and a future. Sometimes people do not run because love is absent. They run because love is present, and presence demands something from them. To understand why, you have to understand attachment. A child does not learn love from movies or quotes. A child learns love from what happens when they need someone. When I cry, does someone come? When I am scared, does someone stay? When I am difficult, am I still loved? When I need comfort, am I too much? Over time, those answers become a map. If love was safe and consistent, the body learns that closeness is safe. But if love was unpredictable, cold, chaotic, conditional, or emotionally confusing, the body learns something else. Closeness is risky, need is dangerous, depending on someone gives them the power to hurt you. And that map does not disappear when you grow up. It follows you into dating. It sits quietly in the background while you flirt, text, fall in love, and say things like, I am just not ready for anything serious. But sometimes I am not ready does not mean I do not want love. Sometimes it means I do not know how to feel safe inside love. This is why someone can genuinely like you and still pull away. It is why they can say you did nothing wrong and still leave. Because the problem is not always what happened between you. Sometimes the problem is what closeness wakes up inside them. Researchers call one defense a deactivating strategy. When intimacy becomes too intense, the mind tries to turn the emotion down. It starts looking for flaws. It makes the relationship feel smaller. It says, maybe this is not special. Maybe I need space. Maybe I am losing feelings. Read that carefully. I do not have feelings anymore is not always the cause of the breakup. Sometimes it is the tool the person uses to escape the fear. Their system gets overwhelmed, pulls the plug on the emotion, and hands them a clean sentence that feels easier to say than, I am scared of needing you. And this is why leaving can feel like relief, but relief does not always mean the relationship was wrong. Sometimes relief only means the anxiety stopped. Imagine standing beside a fire alarm that is screaming all day. If you leave the building, you will feel better. But that does not prove the building was burning. It only proves the alarm was loud. For someone with fear around intimacy, love can become that alarm. But attachment is not the only reason this is happening so much now. The world we date in makes the fear worse. We live inside endless options. If one video is boring, swipe. If one conversation becomes uncomfortable, mute. If one relationship starts feeling complicated, there is always the fantasy of someone easier, cleaner, better, waiting somewhere else. Too many options do not always make us free. Sometimes they make every choice feel like a loss. Now put that inside love. Commitment stops feeling like a gift. It starts feeling like closing every other door, and a generation raised on open tabs, dating apps, and infinite possibility has been quietly trained to fear closed doors. That is why so many people stay in almost relationships, almost dating, almost committing, almost saying what they feel, almost building something real, because almost gives you the pleasure of connection without the terror of responsibility. But real love eventually asks for a decision, and that is where many people panic. What if this is not the one? What if I am settling? What if I lose myself? What if I regret this? What if someone better exists? Suddenly, normal relationship discomfort starts looking like a warning sign. A boring week becomes proof. A small disagreement becomes proof. A future conversation becomes proof. The fear starts collecting evidence against the relationship, not because the relationship is terrible, but because fear wants permission to leave. This is why reasons often appear after the breakup. The mind cannot easily carry the sentence, I walked away from someone good because I was scared. That sentence creates guilt, so the mind builds a better story. It searches the past, it finds tiny moments, it inflates them, it turns discomfort into incompatibility. First it was, I lost feelings. Then later it becomes, actually, you did this and this and this. Maybe those things did hurt, maybe they mattered. But if they were never discussed, never repaired, never given a chance to breathe, then they may not be the true cause. The breakup did not come from the reasons. The breakup went looking for reasons. And that is what makes it so painful. You start defending yourself against a case you did not know was being built. But the trial is already over. The verdict came first. The evidence came later. There is another piece most people ignore: confrontation. A lot of people do not leave because they calmly understand themselves. They leave because they cannot tolerate the discomfort of talking honestly. They do not know how to say, I am scared. They do not know how to say, I feel overwhelmed. They do not know how to say, I care about you, but closeness is triggering something in me. So instead, they shut down. They pretend everything is fine. They let resentment build quietly. Then, when the pressure becomes too much, they end the relationship and finally speak. But by then, it is too late. The conversation that could have repaired the relationship becomes the explanation for why it had to die. This is where many modern relationships break, not because there was no love, but because there was no emotional skill. Love alone does not save a relationship. You also need the ability to speak before you explode, to be uncomfortable without disappearing, to tell the truth without turning it into an attack, to repair. A lot of people want a healthy relationship, but only the soft parts: the attention, the comfort, the cute moments, the feeling of being wanted. But real intimacy also includes honest confrontation, the kind where you say, this hurt me, the kind where you say, I need reassurance, the kind where you stay in the room long enough for the relationship to become more honest. And if someone has spent their whole life avoiding emotional discomfort, that kind of honesty can feel unbearable. So they choose distance, they choose silence, they choose leaving. If you were the person left behind, hear this. Yes, some of it may have been real, and no, your realness could not save them from their own fear. You can be kind, loyal, patient, emotionally available, and still be too close for someone who only knows how to feel safe at a distance. That does not make you unlovable. It means love requires two people who can stay, not just two people who feel. Feelings are easy when nothing is being asked of them. Staying is the hard part. So, what is the way out? If you are the person who runs, ask yourself this: did I lose feelings or did I lose safety? Do I want space or do I want escape? Am I seeing real incompatibility, or am I searching for a reason because closeness scares me? Did this person actually hurt me, or did they start to matter too much? And if you are the person who gets left, ask yourself this: was I asking for too much, or was I asking the wrong person to be emotionally present? Was I abandoned because I was unworthy, or because they did not know how to stay? Because sometimes the most painful truth is also the most freeing one. You cannot love someone into readiness. You cannot communicate for two people. You cannot build commitment with someone who experiences commitment as danger. They have to see it. They have to want to change it. They have to learn how to stay when their body tells them to run. Commitment is not just choosing a person when things feel exciting. Commitment is choosing to be honest when things feel uncomfortable. It is choosing repair over escape. It is choosing not to confuse every emotional dip with the end of love. Because feelings move. Some days love feels intense. Some days love feels quiet. Some days it feels boring. Immature love thinks every emotional change is an instruction. Mature love asks, is this a real problem or is this a normal wave? That difference matters, because if you build your life around today's emotional weather, you will keep abandoning things that only needed time. So the next time someone says, I lost feelings, maybe the deeper question is not only when did the feelings disappear, maybe the deeper question is what did those feelings start asking from you? Because love is not just butterflies, love is a mirror, and some people do not run because the mirror is empty. They run because the mirror shows too much. Even commitment issues have a reason hiding underneath them. Even the silence, even the sudden ending, even the reasons that came too late, because everything has a why.